Okay, so we have pretty interesting assignment today because we talked about capitalizing on your most recent success of playing inversions and keeping things very close. So we are in fact doing that, um, and we talked about a different, slightly different way of entering into it, where how to maybe the memorization of the chords and maybe making it a slightly less daunting task of how to remember all the chords. So just trying to figure out how to put all this together. I thought we would just exhaust all the chords of the key that we're in, just to learn how to memorize all the chords of the key that we're in. So, but the song that we chose doesn't make that all that an easy task, because this song happens to break a lot of the rules of the key. So we can't exactly do that. But what we're going to do is capitalize on what this song offers, which is also very valuable. And it's that we're almost just utilizing the unconventional nature of the song and taking the time to just learn what this song offers. So this song is in the key of C, but you wouldn't know it because it really kind of hides itself, because it's using all these what are called borrowed chords. They're chords that don't belong in the key of C. They're borrowed from other keys, that like the parallel major key of the parallel minor key of C, and all these other um, accidentals, if you will. They're chords that don't belong in the key of C. But that doesn't, all the theory behind that doesn't matter at the moment. What we're going to do is we're just going to exhaust what you're going to be doing for this song. So let's first talk about the chords that would belong in the key of C. Remember, the principle of finding the chords that belong in a key is simply first knowing the scale. So the C scale, very simple, right? So if you just very simply take every other note in the scale, right, the triads, that reveals the chords that belong in that key. So the first chord being C major, the second chord being D minor, the third chord being E major or minor, the fourth chord being F major, the fifth chord being G major, the sixth chord being A minor, the seventh chord being B diminished because it has a flatted third and a flatted fifth, and then you're back to where you started, the root chord of C. And it's that simple, but these are all root position chords, so to play them, you're jumping around. So the whole point of these inversions is to keep things close and intimate and accessible. So if you were to start with first inversion, you'd have, well, a couple different ways of doing it. You start to just adopt the tonality of the scale. And you could substitute the seventh chord, the seventh chord, instead of playing the diminished chord. You could do something like, play a seventh chord, like a seventh chord, dominant seventh chord. Just started getting the feel for the key of C, right? Start feeling your way around the key. not just going, which feels disjointed and sounds disjointed. That was the whole point of the lesson last week. All right, now, in this song, we have F minor sixth. So right there, we go to the 4 chord in the key of C. It's supposed to be major, right? So it's minor, so right there it breaks the rule. All right. Let me put the chords up on your screen so you can see what's going on here. Now, how do we come up with minor sixth, or how do we spell out a minor sixth chord? So what we want to do is we could step away from the key of C for this and actually talk about the isolated key of the chord. So let's talk about the key of F for just a moment, just to spell out the F chord. Right. The sixth interval, the sixth scale degree of the key of F would be is a D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So if you take an F minor and you add a 6 to it, the sixth scale degree of D, there's your F minor sixth. Now, if you listen to the song, it's first inversion. All right, it's starting to sound like the song now, right? It's over G, so it's a slash chord. Kind of an ugly chord, right? Out of context. It's just really weird. It sounds like a mistake when you hear it out of context. Now it goes to an F6 over G. So this is where you really have to understand the theory. To make a minor chord major, what you're going to do is you're going to identify the third in the chord, right? And you're going to move it up a half step. So in an F minor chord, or just in an F chord, what would be the third scale degree? Do you happen to know? A, right. So right now I'm playing an A flat in this chord. It's right here. So we move that up a half step. And there's your F6. So what's clever about this song is it incorporates minors and majors kind of together. So it does this sort of thing. Now here's where we get into our inversional studies. The closest way of playing C over G. Now trust me when I say Michael McDonald didn't need to find the closest C over G. He's doing it for the cohesiveness of the harmony. But you can see the commonality in the chord. F sixth and C share one interval, and that would be the C. So what you would do is keep this finger right on the C and just pivot over. There's kind of a neat gospel-y kind of effect in that. So you have this so far. Then D7, also over G. Closest D7. There's no commonality. Between the C over G and the D7. So we're just going to, well, actually that's not true. The D7 is going to have a C in it because the dominant seventh of D is a C. But we do have to reorient our fingers to make it possible. We're going to be playing the first inversion. Now, what we have going on here, when we add the G bass note to a D7, in the context of G, a D is the fourth. So you could call it a D7 add 4, but the fourth is in the bass. Or you could call it a D11th. There's a couple of different names you can give it, but for ease, just kind of for the sake of simplicity, we'll just stick with the slash chord name of D7 over G. Now it goes back to the F6th, and I forgot this. I forgot the slash here of F6 over G. Now you'll notice that directly above it is the F6 over G, but the difference is, remember, we're concentrating on cohesion of harmony, and we're also focusing on proximity, and those two things go together. So we're not going to go back to the other inversion. We're going to do a different inversion now, because this time we're coming off of the D7 over G. There's a tremendous amount of commonality between the D7 and the F6 root position. All I have to do is drop this finger. So now we put it all together, we have this. So, easy memorization of these chords, because there's very little movement involved here, and you can have some fun with this. I created a loop here in the, I created a loop in the, what did I do? I created a loop in the recorder here, so I'm going to just kind of play that so you can hear how it sounds. A C scale against that, and that would be your proof that this is in the key of C. It does, because you may think like, well, you know, what if it's in the key? You're playing this F chord a lot, and you're playing it like you're playing the G bass note. Is it possible that it's in those keys? Well, one of the ways that you can kind of check that would be to play a scale, one of these scales against the chord progression and see if it matches. Let's try an F scale. Right. Here's a G scale. Here's a tonal conflict, and then the C scale. just so you know, like these songs, especially like something by Michael McDonald, there's so much sophistication to it that sometimes one size scale doesn't fit all. You know, so you have to make accommodations for some of these very sophisticated chords and make some adjustments and apply accidentals, which are notes that don't belong in the scale, to accommodate these very lush, sophisticated chords. But anyway, so that's your assignment for the week.
Once I memorize this, which will probably be today and maybe the end of the day, what should I do? What what can I do to enhance my understanding and facility
For this
for this
particular song,
assignment? Yes.
I would say the best thing you can do is to just well, let's clock the tempo on this. Let's see what the actual tempo of this is, because then I would probably have you play it along with the metronome.
Okay.
So let's see what that is.
That'd be 56, 58.
Uh, eh,
No.
I think it's probably a little faster than that.
Okay.
About 71 beats per minute.
Okay.
Yeah, set your metronome to about 71
Okay.
and just keep cycling that so you could really get your timing precise.
All right. All right.
And that would be my recommendation for you. And I will put this in your YouTube playlist.
Okay.
All right.